Yo, what's up, my comic book nerds? We're talking about. You guys read that new Deadpool comic? Nice try. We're not talking about Comic Zone. We're not talking about video games that are comics. We're talking about video games that are based off of real life comics. And no, sorry, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I know you guys are really radical, rocking dudes, but we're not talking about the Hyperstones heist because you're like more like a graphic novel. And also, sorry, Kingdom Hearts Organization 13. We're not talking about games that are mangas. We're talking about things like Johnny Bango for the Snoopy. That's what Snoopy is. Remember Peanuts, the comic book series? Snoopy from it has a game. Yo, what's up, guys? The next one is number 9, Chabato. For it's the Spanish. It's the, you guys can all read Spanish, I hope, because I can't read Spanish. I hope, or I don't. I don't read Spanish. I choose not to. Once again, that's Shabato. 4, look at that. It's Spanish. Look at this comic. It's in Spain. Who knows? It's probably in other Europe. This next one is comic book based off of, that's right, OG Garfield. You guys remember OG Garfield? This Garfield he's like a blend. He's like a hybrid between, he's like a transitional stage phase between old Garfield comic and new Garfield. Look at him. It's a very cool Garfield, and I really like this Garfield a lot. It's a very nice. Garfield is a comic. We all know this, and it's from 19 freaking 83, you guys. So give it a break. This next one is again another game from 1983, but don't give it a break because it's Asterix and Obelix, and it's some weird French game. You guys, the French are so weird, and they think it's funny. I don't know. I don't know what the French think is funny. It's a French comic book. You can probably find the games in English in the United Kingdom. There's other Atari games. A lot of them were probably only released in French. Then I don't know. This next one is no, sorry, not this Dennis the Menace. We're talking actually about this Dennis the Menace, and it's for the Super Nintendo video game for not well, and there's Dennis and the Gnasher. But I guess we'll talk about Dennis and the Gnasher. Dennis and the Gnasher. Oh well. Well, I guess we'll go back to talking about Dennis the Menace. Those are, I guess we'll call it a tie. It depends on what you like. It's what you're into. Either way, a Dennis the Menace wins. The Tom Mason's Dinosaurs for Hire? Press start? You're probably saying, what? Dinosaurs for Hire? Don't remember this comic book. Well, sorry, comic book nerds. This isn't your Batman. This isn't your Spider-Man. This is your Dinosaurs for Hire by Bryan Cranston and Tom Mason. And they could have been released simultaneously as a tie-in. Who knows? But it's still a video game based off of that comic book. Dick Tracy is a comic book, and you might be thinking that's more like a graphic novel. Well, no, it's more like a comic book. Actually, it's more like a comic book, and it's these are based off of comics. Dick Tracy, not just based off of the movie, based off of the comic. We're not talking. What part of the movie is this? That Game Boy game's not even in Technicolor. This next one is this is Andy Cap, and he's a UK comedian comic, and then that comes from Mirsoft for the Spectrum, which we don't really have. But in America, we have Andy Cap's Hot Fries, which is how we know and love Andy Cap. But in Bringland, he is a comic. You can read him in the Say Funnies. We don't have his comics here, but he is a very cool character, and I like his games. These next ones are comics we don't even have here either. It's Mortalato. It's clever and smart by the Megabytes for the Atari or for the Amiga or something, and it's like another Spanish or some foreign freaky language. Don't even know. But it's a very good game. This next one is Over the Hedge, and I know what you're probably thinking. What, Over the Hedge? Yeah, remember this Over the Hedge? That's actually based off of the comic Over the Hedge, which I just found that out. This comic, which has a nice and interesting art style, and it actually was a good comic and decent enough and not bad at all, got turned into this. I don't know how that's even possible. That's why I didn't know that it was related. But there's your Over the Hedge comic book game. And what could be better than Heathcliff Frantic Photo? It's fun and hilarious. And Heathcliff the Fast and the Furriest. And my favorite, Fun with Spelling, featuring, guess who? Heathcliff. Heathcliff's Fun with Spelling by Datasoft is probably the best based off of comics video game of all time. Thank you for joining me, and remember, children love the meat tank.